Welcome back to our Introduction to C++. In this part, we are going to learn how to use methods and simple math functions. So let's get to it. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to call this part 2. And we're going to click new file and we're going to name this discriminant. So discriminant.cpp. So in case you do not know what a discriminant is, the discriminant is in math where you find it's used for the quadratic equation, which is the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And so underneath that square root, that is the discriminant. And if you've done my introduction to Java videos, you know that this is tends to be the method I always choose because I really like math. So any excuse to use math, I go for it. So first, let's start with making a main method. So our main method, or our entry point to our C++ program, is int main. And at the end, it returns 0. So we are going to calculate the discriminant. So I'm going to leave a little comment here that's saying what this main method is doing. So in C++, you can leave comments different ways. One is // and this will say calculates the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4 times a times c. So what we're going to do is we're going to take input from the command line. So what's going to happen is we're going to run our terminal and it's going to say please enter a, and we're going to read in the value for a. So that means that we are going to be using our input and outputs. So we need to include our IO stream. So include IO stream. We're also going to be using cout and cin. We use cout in part 1 to write hello world. We're going to be using cin. These are under the standard namespace. So let's say that we're using namespace standard. So using namespace std with a semicolon. So now we can access cout and cin. If we didn't do using namespace standard, then we can write std : cout. It's just saving us from having to write it a bunch of times. So let's prompt our user. So we're going to do cout, enter a number for a, and then our semicolon. And then we need to read in our number a. So we're going to declare a variable. In this case, it's going to be an integer. So we're going to say int a. So we have declared the integer a. And now when we do our cin and read in what the user types in on the terminal, it's going to put that value in a. So cin, arrows go the other way. We write in a. So now the integer that has been written in by the user will be put into a. Don't worry if they write a letter, we're not working on that right now. So we're going to repeat this to capture b and c. So I'm going to actually copy this and replace my a with b and c. A little line break here. So now we're capturing our A, B, and C. So we've captured all these. Now we need to actually compute our discriminant, which is actually this comment up here. So we can declare a variable called discriminant. So we can say double disc equals, and now we can do b squared minus 4ac, or b times b minus 4 times a times c. And then we want to outprint what the discriminant is. So we can write out cout, the discriminant is this. And that's how we can combine our strings and our numbers together when we're outprinting to the terminal. So let's test this code. I already have our task.json set up here, so we can go to our terminal and we're going to run our build task. This is going to build our discriminant. Now we're going to execute it. So right here, I'm on my introduction to CPP. I can also just click here and open the terminal directly on part 2. So open the terminal. Now I'm in part 2. Then I can do /discriminant. And now our program gets executed. So I'm entering value for A. Say 1, B will be 4, and C will be 2. So our discriminant is 8. So now you've learned how to read in numbers. You've learned how to set up variables in C++ and use simple math functions. Let's make this function, this call right here, be a method. So I'm going to comment out this line. And I'm going to close our terminal. And we're going to define our function discriminant. So in C++, when we're defining our discriminant, we're going to have to make our function before main. So this is going to return double. Let's call this discriminant. And it's going to take in the parameters A, B, and C. So int A, int B, and int C. And this will return our b squared minus 4ac. So return b times b minus 4 times a times c. And I'm going to do a line break here for better readability. So now we need to say our double disk is calling this new function. So disk equals discriminant. And apparently I spelled discriminant wrong, so I'm going to change that right now. So discriminant, and then we'll do A, B, and C. So now let's rebuild this code, and if we run this again with A being 1, B being 4, and C being 2, we should still get 8. So go to our terminal, run build task. It is successfully built. Open up our terminal. /discriminant. A is 1, B is 4, C is 2, and our discriminant is still 8. Well, now you have learned how to make a method in C++. You've learned how to pass parameters in C++ and return a value. You've also learned how to read in inputs from a user. So congratulations, you have made another step forward in learning C++.